guests. You wanted to kick off this segment, and happy to continue the discussion a little bit more down market of luxury as we head into Abercrombie and Fitch.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I think, Casey, you talked about your Abercrombie era. Rick, I don't know if you did.
I did not have an Abercrombie era. I was not pretty enough for it.
Yeah. Well, I don't know that I was either, but I definitely remember, look, I was from a very small town. We saved up our money to drive to the mall an hour and a half away so that we could go to Abercrombie. You'd get just killed with the smell of the perfume and the cologne in the store. You had these very aloof people that worked there that didn't give a shit if you spent money there or not.
I have a picture in my mind. I'm forming it.
Yes, I'm painting it for you. And literally, you're basically spending at the time, it's like $40 to $50, to your point, Casey, on a white t-shirt just to get the bag that had a barely clothed model. I can't believe my mom let me walk around with it.
$8.
It was like a status symbol. Yeah, you're right. Like it was a status symbol to have that bag and be able to walk around with it. You remember those days, right, Casey?
Oh my God. Like I'm literally sitting here at pictures of my perfectly folded denim wall.
Yeah. Oh my God, that's amazing.
It is literally a perfectly folded denim wall that is like sitting here on my desk.
Yes. And it was the wall of denim, because that's what you went in there to buy for. And I just love this story so much because they did have a fall from grace, right? In 2016, the brand was voted America's most hated retailer. And then 2 years ago, Netflix had that documentary White Hot that came out, which was essentially so bad in terms of the history of Abercrombie, the over-sexualized imagery, occasionally racist products. And it really, they didn't evolve well in the Me Too era, right? And really needed this revamp. And I think Fran Horowitz would probably be a poster child of amazing brand turnarounds, because she's essentially led this brand to a company that released its Q4 earnings. It had its 5th consecutive quarterly earnings beat, 35% sales growth in the 4th quarter of 2023, where we know most brands were not, especially in retail, we're not talking about or posting those numbers, had the highest operating margin in 15 years since for FY23. And from a liquidity perspective, cash and equivalents moved from $901 million to $518 million. From $518 million in 2022 to $901 million in 2023. So I think it's pretty amazing what Abercrombie has done. And we know turnarounds are hard. And so we thought we could unpack it a little bit. And Casey, with your help, talk about some of the things that they did. And I'll just give you some highlights.
I think we just have to kind of go back to actually the start, where there was a pond at the on the roof of the building of Abercrombie and Fitch in New York store, where you could go and test your fishing pole because it was stocked with fish. Right. And the fishing pole had like gold filigree, and it's like the most expensive fishing pole, the most expensive tents. Like they were the first people to make outdoor pants for women. Like it was a luxury brand.
It was a luxury outdoor retailer.
Luxury outdoor brand. And but at the same time, like my experience as a 6th grader of like not having the friends and being a new girl and being able to have a different day-to-day experience at school was because of that label. And the hottest thing in junior high and high school was Abercrombie and Fitch at that time. And I related it with it so much.
It's like the Lulu of today.
It was just like, being a kid is hard. And school is just so mean. I love these younger kids. They seem so much nicer than my experience. I'm like, TikTok would never have survived when I was at this age. But as somebody who was like in it and like a store manager, and I was at all the football games in the high schools and colleges, recruiting talent and everything like that. I loved my store, and I didn't know the bad things, right? I loved the fact that it was the only store in a mall that had a scent. It was a distinctive experience as soon as you crossed the threshold. It was darker. It had a smell.
It was dark.
It had the music
there.
I know, right? No. It was a completely different experience walking across that threshold. And I
Right.
love the fact that they created that brand experience where all the bags are sprayed down with Fierce so that your room at home smells. And as soon as the smell goes away from your bag, it's like, I have to go back.
Yeah, absolutely.
But
And
yeah.
it is amazing. And I think it's super interesting with the shift and what they've done where they had a lot of different problems, right? They had the brand equity problem. They had this overlap with Hollister where it was essentially the same products being sold, maybe a couple
Right.
different colors because they had the same merchandising team to, now they've revamped and closed a bunch of stores, replacing them with smaller ones.